This hairstyle, I was kind of going for like Jennifer Lawrence out of Mother. You know, she always spends the whole film with her hair. I mean, it's a middle parting, but if I try and do a middle parting, my hair on this side will just flop in front of my face. Um, I mean, I kind of hate it. You can see so much of my scalp there. Hi, hello, welcome back. It's me, funnily enough, because this is my channel. I'm here to review The Seeds of Death. I said that very... no words came out. Seeds of Death is a story I have not watched before, but I bought it, and so I watched it, as you do. And I kind of had high hopes. High hopes? I had high hopes, love, because I asked someone on Twitter who's a big fan of the second Doctor stories, like, what's the Seeds of Death like? And they were like, oh, it's it's a fun little base under seed story. And I watched it, and this will be a very short review. My classic Doctor Who story reviews tend to be pretty, you know, teeny, but yeah, I just thought it was really boring, to be honest. And I really like the second Doctor. I think, you know, the War Games is, what, 10 parts, and I think it's thoroughly entertaining. I thought the Seeds of Death was slow as you like. It was 6 parts, that's an hour and 50 minutes, that's like almost 2.5 hours, and just nothing happens. I mean, it takes like 2 full episodes, 2 and a bit episodes for them even to get to the base that's under siege. As in like the Doctor and Zoe and Jamie. And they're also quite absent from the first half of the story generally. They're not that important. They come a lot more into their own in the second half, which is fine. But then it's also, in another way, in the first half you get to know a lot about the characters working at the TMAT, you know, station area, and the people on the moon base. But then the second half of the story, they all kind of become irrelevant. I mean, Miss Kelly, I thought they built her up as this big character, but she ends up not really doing anything. In like episode 5, is it? This like commandery man turns up and is like, I need to know what's going on here, and then proceeds to do nothing. As in, he literally adds nothing to the story. There's no reason for him to be there. And there's a lot of cutting back to the people on Earth for no reason. They keep the Ice Warriors a secret for a little bit, and you get quite a lot of POV shots of presumably Slar. And it's actually alright. I think it's cool that they keep it secret. Obviously, that's something you can't really do nowadays. And the Ice Warriors had only appeared once before in the previous season. Season 5. This is season 6, right? Yeah, it's got Zoe. Season 5 is Victoria in it, yeah. So I guess it was kind of still fresh in the mind. The Ice Warriors are like, it follows a lot of the same rules from their first story, which I haven't watched, but I'm assuming it probably is the same as their rules in the modern stories. But they do lack a little bit of personality. Like, they talk about how they're from Mars, but apart from that, like, I feel like these could have been any aliens. I don't feel like this was written for the Ice Warriors. I think you could have really changed this to be any invading alien race. The Ice Warriors are like good in this. I think Slar is quite good. I like his design, although I guess he's an Ice Lord. He hadn't yet got the cape that they do in the third Doctor stories. But yeah, they could have been anyone. Their plan is very confusing at first. So what is your game plan here? I liked that they finally, halfway through the story, the Seeds of Death, the titular seeds, sort of come into play. And they sort of transmat them, or team at them down to Earth in these random cities, and they blow up and like kill one person. I'm like, what is their plan? And I thought it was actually really clever that they did that, because they knew all the people would then ventilate it out into the atmosphere so that they didn't die inside, and they would just assumed that it was some kind of regular gas, so it would just be diluted by the oxygen, not realising that it was in fact a fungus. So as soon as they let it into the outside world, it started sort of attaching things and growing and making more, and also making this sort of foam stuff, which ends with a rather amusing part where the Doctor just gets covered in foam in episode 6. That's like a weird cliffhanger. Like, he's literally covered in foam, surrounded by all this gas, and then at the beginning of episode 6, he just gets let into the weather control station, and he's fine. He's okay. He has literally no damage. And then they also send the ice warrior down to the weather control station so that no one can make it rain, because if it rains, then their plan will be. And then they also have an invasion fleet, which they're going to send to Earth, and that gets thwarted. And a lot of this stuff gets thwarted in like episode 6, but like it's fine. It's just I'm not very enthused about this story. It's not bad, but and obviously a lot of classic stories have going to the same places over and over again, and there are some interesting characters like what was his name, Fission, the one that's like, I'll do whatever you say, Ice Lord, don't kill me. He actually goes on like a character journey and ends up sacrificing himself, or putting himself in danger so that everyone else can find out the information they need to stop the Ice Warriors. The whole thing about rockets and T-Mats, the whole, oh, you should have, that whole like conflict between the two, the professor and the T-Man, that whole thing, it goes on for way too long and doesn't add much to the story. Zoe and Jamie are pretty good. I like their dynamic, but they also feel like they haven't got an awful lot to do in this story. For some reason, the stuff with the rocket in episode 2 just feels a bit odd. I feel like there's not enough explanation as to why this man has a full ass like takeoff area and all that for this rocket that he wasn't even sure if he was ever going to fly. It's just crazy. Yeah, I mean, I've sounded quite negative, but I just think it's because I had even medium hopes. I wasn't expecting it to be amazing, and it was just really pretty dull. I was amused that the Grand Commander, Ice Warrior Man, Grand Marshal, they thought, oh, we'll just stick some of those star confetti pieces onto his face, and no one will notice. Also, the fact that the Doctor murders a whole fleet of Ice Warriors, and I guess that was one of the few things that actually was built up to, because they had mentioned multiple times prior about getting caught in the rotation. The moon's rotation. I've literally forgotten all science. It was a 6 out of 10. Because it wasn't as boring as The Mysterious Planet, which is a 5.5. But stories like Doctor Who and the Silurians, which I'll probably be giving a 7-ish when I review it, like those are still not super interesting and they drag a bit, but there are interesting ideas, whereas this is literally it. My problem with this story is that I actually love Base Under Siege stories. I really enjoy them. I think Orphan 55 should have been a Base Under Siege story. I mean, it was for the last 10 minutes, but I think it should have been the whole time. But this is just so boring. And I haven't watched The Moon Base, which has the Cybermen in, which I think is in season 4. But I swear it has a very similar plot to this. There's a moon base, alien race invades, as in the Cybermen or the Mondasians, whatever. And I swear there's something to do with weather. There's like some weather thing in that story. If there isn't, then I'll cut this bit out. But obviously, if I haven't cut this bit out, then it means there is. And it's just, this was only 2 seasons later. It's very similar. It's too long, but it's not irredeemable. But of all my Doctor Who stories, it's one of the ones I'll be least inclined to reach for. And it's a shame, because I really love the Ice Warriors. I really love them in Cold War. Well, the one we see in Cold War. I like them in Empress of Mars. I appreciate that if you actually tally their 6 appearances in Doctor Who, 2 of them, they're not really the villains. They're not the villains in Curse of Peladon, and they are like, yes, they are an antagonist, but by the end of the story, they're not the primary villains of Empress of Mars. I appreciate them. They're very much not an evil race. At least they're fleshed out to not be an entirely evil race, obviously. at this point, we've seen them in the Ice Warriors and in the Seeds of Death, where they're like just villains. That's all I have for you today. And my headache is making it very hard for me to be enthusiastic. And I had to let go of my Jennifer Lawrence hairdo. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, or don't. That's it.